Hello, Mel. How are you?
I am good. How are you? Hi, everyone who's listening.
Hello, everyone. Oh, my goodness. So we are deep into fall.
Yes.
Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I know. It's crazy. When this comes out, it's going to be fall, which is wild,
hmm
which means it's all the yucky thoughts. It means we're getting close to winter and then,
You
but
know,
it means it might be closer to your wedding. We don't know when this is coming out, so it'll be before your wedding. I don't think it'll be your wedding yet.
it might it might be after actually.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Come back as a married woman. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. You have experience. You've got this. You've done it before. You do it again.
I've done it before and failed. But there's
You
learning in
learned. You
failure.
learned. You
That's right.
learned.
That's
Yes.
right.
You learned. You are ready to do it again.
That is right. That is right. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So what are your plans for the fall in terms of personal stuff?
Um, I have a lot that's happening in the fall. Depending on when this airs, I have a trip to Phoenix, so I'm really excited about that because I'm going down to speak at a conference there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I like to tag on some extra stuff when I'm on the road. So I think I've not done Sedona before, so I think we're going to do
Okay.
like a weekend road trip to Sedona while we're down there. And then I've got another trip to Africa in the fall, so that'll be at
Okay.
least one, maybe two.
Well, which country are you going
Um,
to this time?
so I'm definitely going to Tanzania
Okay.
in the fall. So I might tag on some Zanzibar while I'm there. We'll see. Depends how busy we are.
And you've done safari before, right?
Yes,
When you
yes,
okay.
I did safari on my first trip when I didn't know if I'd be going back.
Mm.
So yeah, and then we are potentially, I've got something brewing in the background too that could lead to safari opportunities for others. So, um,
Ooh,
yeah, so
interesting.
there's good stuff happening. It's why people have to pay attention to us and follow our socials and do all those things because you never know what's going to pop up on them.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yes,
Okay. So we have a business, Mel.
we do. We do.
We do. And our business is called the first business was called All Women Lead, right?
Yes.
And that was from the premise that no matter who you are as a woman, you are a leader in some capacity, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
has branched off into AWL Partners, where we support all individuals and
Mm,
organizations with regards to their emotional intelligence journey. Like we truly believe people need to enjoy where it is that they are, no matter where they are within an organization, right? And be happy as they do it, however they
mhm.
define happy.
Yes.
But today, what we're going to talk about is that leadership is not in the title, right?
Mhm.
Which goes back to our earlier days of when we started All Women Lead.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting is when we decided we were going to talk about this, like the first thought that goes through my mind is there's lots of people who don't have the title who lead. And I also think there's lots of people who do have the title who don't.
So true. So let's talk about this. So what in your mind is a leader?
So to me, somebody who should have the expectations that I would put on a leader is anybody who has influence over others.
Mhm.
So there's a very simple definition, but that ultimately
Mhm.
means as a parent I lead, as a friend I lead, um, as a business owner I lead, as a community member I lead. Like I think there is that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
if you were to say to me like what makes somebody a good leader, like what do I deem as somebody who I'd want to follow?
Mhm.
Um, I would say somebody who cares, somebody who um, I do like to win, so somebody who's producing a winning team. I would say somebody who, is prepared to get in the trenches with me if I need them to. Um, Somebody who is curious, somebody who is looks at things from many different perspectives, both for risk assessment and for, um, inclusion reasons. Um, Somebody who I align with their values. Their values are like my values.
Mhm.
Those are kind of the places I naturally go. What about you?
Well, for me, it's a leader is someone who has vision,
Mm,
right? And who might be able to see things further out than the team that they are leading,
yes.
right? They see where things are going. They're
Mhm.
willing to take the fall. Like when things are don't go well, they're willing to take it on
Yes.
themselves. When things go well, they're attributing it to their team. So it's someone who is kind of selfless
Mhm.
in a way, right? Not in a way where where it's that toxic positivity type of thing. I'm not talking about that. More talking about, you know, I've been a good leader because my team is successful. My team is winning. My team is doing well. That to me is how I would define that I'm doing well as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's not the selfless. It's almost like I think the businessy term is that servant leadership concept,
Mm,
right? Like where you're giving, but I completely agree with you, like in the sense of um yeah, that person who takes the hits,
mhm,
but pushes the praise. 100%.
mhm. And so
100%.
let's talk the opposite now. A bad leader, because we often talk about what makes a
Mm,
good and effective leader, but what makes a not so great leader?
Um, Definitely somebody I can't trust. Like I think trust is critical in leadership. So somebody who I don't trust, and usually that stems from inconsistencies.
Mm,
Somebody who doesn't do what they say.
mm,
I'm a big believer that leaders do what they say. Um, Probably it's that I don't want to say selfish because it feels like it's just the opposite of selfless, but there is sort of that I feeling, right?
mm,
That it's about me. It's
mhm,
about what I want. Like especially as you know, like I spent so much of my time in goal driven cultures, right? Like it's just the reality of being in sales. And so I when I teach goal setting to somebody, I really talk to them about, it's not about the company's goals because people don't care about that. They don't care about the company's goals. They don't care about your goals. It's what's important to them. And if we can help connect things to people for what's important to them and how their success in your organization will help get them that thing, that's
mhm,
what motivates people extrinsically. Um, and so to me, it's some of that, like, or it that not being there, like when it's about
mhm,
like I need to win. I'm going to look bad if this doesn't happen. Like it's when they're more concerned about egg on their face than on the
mhm.
feelings and success of their team. That to me is really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. I often it's funny because sometimes leaders, because they have the title,
Mhm.
they feel that they're entitled to there's just a sense of entitlement. And I'm not saying all leaders, and obviously not all leaders are like that, but the ones who, because they have the title, feel that they are entitled to certain treatment, or
Yeah.
that they I'm not doing well with words at the moment, but I'm essentially saying that just because you have the title does not make you an effective leader. You're a leader,
100%.
but that doesn't mean you're an effective leader.
Yeah, to me it almost falls into like that whole concept of hierarchy, right? Like when we think about hierarchy, like um I worked the organization like that I say I grew up with, they to the day I left. So at that point, it was one of the largest in the country, one of the largest in the country, one of the largest in the world. And the owner to the day I left would still pick garbage up off the floor. The
Mm,
owner would still talk to the entry level people in the organization and ask them for their opinion.
mm,
And so, I I mopped the floors if the floors needed to be mopped. I folded towels when towels needed to be folded. And because to me, we were a team and these
mhm,
were the things that needed to get done. If we were behind in sales, I'd pick up the phone and make sales calls. Um, we as executives never had assistants.
mm.
It was a pain, but I do think it taught us well because it meant we still had to do for ourselves.
Mm,
And it was a financial reason, like the company ran very lean,
mhm,
but there was something to be said about that leanness. And I attribute it to um, one of the things that I'm really proud of in terms of my leadership style because it kept me engaged. It kept me understanding the front line.
mm,
And I think as companies grow and as people grow within those organizations, understanding those frontline positions becomes more and more washed away. And to me, that means you get farther and farther from your customer.
mm, mhm,
And then you start to lose some of those things. And I can remember so clearly one day, it was middle of winter, so there was a lot of like salt and stuff being tracked through. So I was mopping the floors, and somebody actually walked by me and looked at me and went, "Is there not somebody else who can do that? Like, you're the boss. Why are you mopping the floor?" And I just thought, wow, like wow, that speaks volumes about you.
mm. Yeah. Well, there's but that's the thing. Like, I think if we believe that a leader, once you're a leader, then that means you no longer do any of the things that you used to do,
Hmm.
then I think we don't understand what leadership is. I remember going to an event, and I'm sure he's not going to mind me talking about this, but it was an awards event and it was hosted at the Chamber of Commerce here in London,
Hmm.
right? And I remember there was more people at the event than what was planned for it. So the people that were putting on the event rented the chamber, right? And so
Okay.
anyways, so Graham, who is the president or whatever the title,
CEO.
CEO of chamber, um he started serving, right?
Yep.
Like he would serve, he was cleaning up, he was doing all of those kinds of things, and someone said, "Oh my gosh, he's the CEO of the chamber." I'm like, "Wow, that's cool. That's cool," because he
Yep.
didn't think he was too good to be able to
Yep.
still do those things, and I thought that was pretty impressive of him to do that.
Yeah, and I think that those are the types of things, right? Like, and it's interesting. Those are the things people remember.
Mhm.
Nobody remembers the fact that you stood up at the front of the room and ran some numbers off and talked about that, right? Because people remember things that make them feel. And so those are the things that people remember. And and to me, it just really shows that I don't know, like, I think if we look at it on the flip side, like, we've talked kind of about, like, the CEO or the leader who acts in servant leadership, but I also think there's a huge amount of power that people who don't have the titles and what they can do to act forward, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think about, like, um, there are some people who I know in community who don't have these big titles or any of those things, but they have
Mhm.
significant impact.
Mhm.
And that impact to me is so, so powerful. And that to me is leadership, right? And I think we
Mhm.
see it a lot more in social enterprise. We see it in not for profit. We see it in things like that, where you often see people who don't have these titles giving and doing, and people see them as leading.
Mhm.
Um, and it almost makes me question, like, what does that mean? Like, do you see the what does that look like in corporate, right? Because I think we easily see it in volunteerism, but what does that look like in a corporate workplace or in a professional workplace that where it's literally people without titles leading?
Yeah. It's those people that you're talking about that make the organization,
Hmm.
right? They really make the organization. They're the ones that everybody knows that's who you go to for whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes you'll find many of those types of people in organizations that have really good leadership because it's being modeled,
Yes.
right?
So I have an interesting question. I've had
Mhm.
multiple conversations in the last little while about the fact that like volunteerism is down.
Mm.
So people within organizations are not looking to do the things that perhaps you and I would have done coming up to
Mhm.
grow ourselves as leaders within an organization.
Mhm.
Volunteering on boards, volunteering for events, volunteering for to stay late and host the people, whatever it is. What do you think? Like, do you think we're in this like weird little world of like a rebellion of like giving my time if I'm not getting something?
That is so funny. We've had this conversation before too. And
Yeah.
so it's like I don't the simple answer that I can give is I don't know. Because part of me feels that when you give of yourself without
Mm-hmm.
the expectation of anything, that says a lot about your character, and you're
Yeah.
the type of person that I want in my organization. On the flip side
And
of that, and right, and then you said this to me before, and it stuck with me is maybe they have it right. Maybe putting up those boundaries and saying you have me from this to this and that's it. The rest
mm-hmm.
of it is my time. I'm going to take care of myself. There's something to be said for that as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my answer is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's
Like
some balance in between the two. Oh.
or yeah, like how do because I'm just thinking like how do organizations support that, right? Like because I think what I saw happen was it was like, okay, people started to say, no, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not doing it in my off hours. And organizations said, okay, well, what if we put it in your hours?
Mm,
Right. And but then I think you also but then people are like, right, but now I have to do my work in my off hours because you don't take my work away from me. So no.
mhm,
So I feel like we've just so now it starts to lead into this like weird spot where it's like, okay, but what so do we just not have people volunteer? Is that because I don't even think it's just in towards company initiatives. I think it's as a whole, we're seeing volunteerism down.
well, you know where I really saw this, where it really became apparent to me, is when my kids were in elementary school.
Okay.
Because unions got involved, and so
Mm,
teachers were no longer allowed to work past whatever hours they
yep.
were supposed to, like the different clubs that happened were no longer, because it needed to be supervised by a teacher, but it couldn't be during the day, and they weren't allowed to be in the, so that's where I really started to see it. I was like,
Yeah.
well, but then who's paying for that?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Well,
kids
and
no longer get this experience.
it's interesting that you say that because yeah, like I feel like part of like I can and I'm sure you can too. I can so remember being told like, well, if you just volunteer for this workplace opportunity, then that's how you get into leadership. Like we
Mhm,
almost connected like if you sacrifice your time,
mhm,
then you will eventually get to lead. Like we created that. Like we created this false sense of like, if you do more, you'll get more.
Hmm.
And so now I think we've had this complete rebellion from it, like, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, where people are like, but what if I don't want more? But but so then it becomes that bigger question. If we're creating a work environment where people don't want to lead anymore, what happens?
Where, well, when do we do things because it's just a nice thing to do,
Hmm.
or we want to see, we want to help somebody? Like, I find that we live in this world of extremes,
Yes.
right? So either you're giving everything or
Hmm.
you're holding back and not doing anything. Like, it's just, can we be in the middle? Can we find some?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because as you say that, like, part of me is are we moving towards a workplace that just doesn't have managers anymore? Like, is that the route? And I was like, oh, that's an extreme. But is that the route we're going? Like, because again, I've had lots of conversations with people, especially about women, where the conversation is around the fact that women don't want to move up anymore. They don't want the positions. And they're saying to me, like, Mel, what do we do? How do we make people want these positions? And like, my answer is, I'm like, well, listen, women are tired. Until we figure out a way to take away stuff from home, they're going to continue to be tired. So, like, how do we help? What does that look like? Um, I don't know. I'm gonna totally go off track because my brain just went to, is this actually like the positive of something like AI, right? Like, is this
Mm,
how we help people get back into balance
mm.
while not taking things away?
The other day I was thinking about balance as we're going off topic anyways. Um, and so uh often wonder, is it about work-life balance? Is it about even prioritization, or is it about being emotionally intelligent? Because,
Expand.
well, if you are emotionally intelligent, you are aware of self, right?
Mhm,
You're aware of the opportunities that you as an individual should and should not like go after, right? And
mhm.
so if you have that awareness and you have the ability to manage your behaviors to follow through with that, then you've created a balance within your life,
Yeah.
right? So that's why I was like, maybe it's not about work-life balance and it's not about prioritization. It's about being emotionally intelligent so that you can
Yeah.
create a life that you want, that looks good for you.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because I do think whether we're talking leadership, whether we're talking volunteerism, whether we're talking about, AI changing how we all work. I think what's interesting what you just said is it all connects back to, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
It very much is unique, which means I need to understand what's important to me. It's going to alter based on the time of my life I'm in. It's going to, like, you and I, our kids are growing. So it opens up opportunities for us when people are like, how are you doing this? It's like, well, our kids are growing now. We don't have as much stuff with them. So
Hmm.
we've got more time to put back into us again now.
Right.
And so, and I think, so it's kind of like stage of life, desire to do it, motivating factor to do it. Like,
Hmm.
what do I want my life to look and feel like?
Yeah. And so that brings us back to the whole question of leadership and title. And we are, or not even that, sorry. It brings us back to 2018 when we started All Women Lead.
Hmm.
And we said we are all leaders in some way,
Hmm.
shape, or form because we all are influential in some way to
Yeah.
someone, right? And leadership is not about the title, it's about how we're operating. And so I guess where I'm going with this is that leadership, to be an effective leader, means that you've got to be emotionally intelligent.
Hmm.
Like anybody can lead, yes,
Yeah.
but to lead well and to be effective, you have to be emotionally intelligent.
Yes. And it needs to align with your values and your desires, which comes from self-awareness.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Do
So
you have a
what's our
question for today?
well, that's what I was just thinking, like a thought-provoking question for our audience in terms of
Oh.
what does leadership mean to you? What does it mean to be a leader? You know, um, I was doing a training in Ottawa a couple weeks ago, and it was with an indigenous group. Actually, no, I lie. They were Inuit, right? They were
Mhm.
Inuit group organization. And the interesting thing is when we talked about leadership, they had a different view of what leadership
Mm,
was because they didn't particularly love the word, right? And so it was interesting learning for me that leadership is a cultural, what it means is a cultural thing as well,
yeah,
right? It doesn't mean the same thing to everybody, right? And so I'm curious, what does leadership mean to you? To you, the listener who's listening to this right now, what does it mean?
I like it. Good question, Jen.
Cool. All right. Until next
Okay.
time.
Bye, everyone.
See you.